You're coming out very low. Just give me one moment here. I can't turn on my cam right now. I'm actually in the middle of driving, but I could speak without any issue. Just give me a second. All right, try speaking again.
One, two, three.
Yeah, I can hear you much better now.
Okay, all right. So we're actually live right now. So I'm just gonna let some people, come on in so we can get the thing started. I'm try to not to keep it too long. All right. So anyways, as you guys come on in, hit the like button, share on Twitter, Facebook, or whatever other platforms that you guys are on social media. Right now, I have a guest with me on here. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself. So, floor is yours. You there, Gio? You there? Can you hear me?
All right. You can still hear me, correct?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
T2Y. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello? Hello?
I said I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Give me one moment here.
All right, guys, make sure you guys hit the like button. Right now we're having a little technical difficulties. Hit the like button. I see BB's in here. BB, what's going on with you? Kane's 305, what's going on with you? Dade County Elite Battle, what's going on with you? All right, so if you guys are just joining, basically I have Gio. He's a Orange Bowl boys recruiting, and he's inside the building. He sees what's going on the daily base at practices and stuff like that. As I told you guys, I'm not out there. I don't have anyone in the building, so I reach out to the people that are. As you guys come on in, hit the like button for me. Um, yeah, right now we're having a little technical difficulties. I can hear him, but he can't hear me. So, trying to work that out right now. Man, I see we got CJ Taylor from the Bahamas. Oh man, that's what's up.
All right. Back again. Sorry, I was in a different browser. It was giving me an issue.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Very low. Are you able to turn up a little bit?
Mine's is already turned to the max. Let me double check. Let me see what the audio read is. See if I can turn it up a little bit. How about now?
I hear you very low. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I could connect you to the Bluetooth here. Maybe that'll help out a bit. Give me 1 second.
You guys, let me know in the chat. Can you guys hear me pretty good? Do I sound low in the chat? Let me know in the chat. Do I
Let me know
sound
in the
low?
chat. Do I sound low?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
Um, can you hear me, Gio?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? All right, sorry guys, we're having a little technical difficulty. Uh, Gio, if you can hear me, I'm gonna put the link in the chat, and you click on it again. Can you hear me, Gio? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Am I still low?
Slightly, but anytime I'm listening to you, I'm putting the mic up to my ear. It's all right.
Okay. Yeah, because everybody in the chat said it sounds fine. So I don't know. But anyways, like I was trying to say,
Yeah, it might just be something with my phone.
okay. So like I was saying, go ahead and introduce yourself to them. Let them know who you are.
All right, everyone. I'm Gio with the Orange Bowl Boys, the OBB recruiting podcast. You might have seen me around on Kane's Twitter for some time. I cover Canes football at spring practice, during the season, fall practice, just about all of that. I cover a lot of recruiting as well. I go to a lot of events, a lot of 7-on-7 events, a lot of recruiting events on campus. Just I'm involved in a lot of things with the Canes, so you could ask just about any questions that you want, and I'm willing to answer.
All right. So we're gonna start the discussion off pretty simple with the coaching staff, and then we'll get into like positional groups of how they doing their practice, because that's pretty much what people are looking for right now. Also, they got the pro day going on. You was there, so you could give us some insights on that. But
Yeah, the guy that really made himself some money today was actually Zach McLeod. He tested very well in the 40. He was clocked as low as a 4.66, which is actually pretty good as at his size. When he was up at the podium being interviewed, when we spoke with him, he mentioned that a lot of NFL teams have been speaking with him about possibly being an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. And then also Derek King, he was quarterback.
you going in and out.
Hear me better now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Ryan Risk, the walk-on quarterback on the team, aside from Derek King. Derek King, he was also He also tested at wide receiver today, towards the left portion of pro day. And King also mentioned that teams such as he's already met with the Dolphins, and tomorrow he will be meeting with the New England Patriots.
Okay, so are they showing interest in King as a quarterback, or is it more of a receiver role?
It seems to be more of a receiver role. Some teams have some interest as a quarterback, but it remains to be seen by what team drafts him and what would their need be.
Okay. Another guy that a lot of Canes fans are looking out for. Bubba Bolden. How did he do?
Yeah, so Bubba, he did not run the 40 today. Just a quick disclaimer about his bench press. He repped about 15 times at 225. He was also coming off a shoulder injury from last season, so the coaches and trainers, they were just trying to have him set that bar for 15 for pro day, and he reached his goal that he wanted. He performed in some position drills. Also did 3-cone drill, short shuttle. Just no 40 today though.
And what about Amari Carter?
Amari Carter, he actually had the best vertical of all the guys out there. He bested at a 39.5. In the broad jump, he did well as well. The media relations, they needed to release to us the broad jump numbers. We're going to be getting those pretty soon. But he did test the best out of everyone there for the broad jump. He didn't mention anything about any teams that are looking at him when we spoke with him. But yeah, that's where it's at with Amari Carter.
Okay, and Cameron Harris, we saw he came off the injury. How did he look today?
Yeah, so with Cam, there was no bench press from him today. Uh, I saw some strange report when I was there about him repping about 20 times or whatnot, but I did not see that. So I had taken that tweet down and whatnot because I found that strange. But no, he performed well. I have here on the list actually. Hold on, I could pull it up in my notes here for you. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Hold on here. That is. Hold on 1 second.
All right. While he gets you guys this information, please make sure you guys hit the like button. Hit the like button, please, and thank you.
So with Cameron Harris, we didn't get back any official 40 yet. He did not perform in the vertical or the bench press either.
Okay, and I think one more. How about Charleston Rambo?
Charleston Rambo in the 40, he tested in the 4.5s both times, and in the vertical he had it was a 33 and a half vertical.
And Navon Donaldson and Jared Williams, how did they do?
Jared Williams actually had a pretty good day. He had a pretty good vert actually for his size, especially being an O lineman. Navon Donaldson, he had a 21 at the vert, but while he was doing bench press, it seemed to be that he basically kind of got hurt, so he did not complete that, from to my understanding.
And Jared.
Yeah, I had already mentioned with Jared, but no, Jared actually did pretty well, especially considering the size he's at for an offensive lineman. He had a pretty impressive vertical. I actually have it right here in the notes. Jared, what he did in the vert actually, Jared had a 31 at the vert.
Oh, okay. And last two on Jonathan Ford and DeAndre Johnson.
Yes, Jonathan Ford actually, have it right here. Jonathan Ford, he tested at 29 in the vertical. and in the bench press he had 24.
And how about Ford? Not Ford. I'm
Uh,
sorry. DeAndre.
yeah, so DeAndre he tested with 20 in the bench press, and also his vert came out to 33.
Okay. I think we covered it. Oh, I'm sorry. How could I leave out Mike Harley? Mike Harley. How did he do
Yeah,
today?
so Mike Harley ran in the 4.4s, both of his runs in the 40. His vertical, let me double confirm that. Yes, so his vertical was a 35 and a half, and Mike Harley benched 225 16 times.
Uh, Now, from what you've seen at Pro Day, do you think any of these guys are first to first to third like rounders?
Um, Bubba Bolden could sneak in there due to his size and the way he tested in the 40 at uh at the at the NFL Combine. I wouldn't say first or second round. He could sneak late third. More so, really looking at fourth to fifth round for him, and Mike Harley's looking more so like fifth to sixth round.
What about Charleston Rambo?
Charleston Rambo would likely be in the range between the third and fifth round.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. So basically, guys, Pro Day went down today. You guys could see it on the screen. The guys that performed at Pro Day. Basically, if you came in late, you guys could rewatch the video or go back if you want to see some of the status of some of the players that performed at Pro Day. Um, okay, so basically, we got a new regime, we got new coaches, and everything going on like that. You're out there on a daily basis for practice. You see what's going on in positional groups and stuff. But I want to start with the coaching staff. How do you feel about this coaching staff, and what do you see out there that you feel is different from years before?
The energy is different. Practice moves a lot faster now. There's really no lollygagging around. They're getting rid of guys' bad habits. Sometimes when guys are putting their hands on their hips, there's even coaches specifically taking their hands off their hips. Practice is always go, 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 especially when they're in 11 on 11 situation. Uh, I've been told from some players currently on the team that before in practice under Manny Diaz, they used to get about 45 to 50 plays in a practice. Now they're getting in about close to 80 to 90 plays in at practice. So the guys are getting a lot more reps just in general. And the energy is different with the coaches. I've noticed some of the coaches that are really intense is Josh Gaddis. He is pays very much attention to detail with his position group, especially within blocking drills. And even when receivers are running routes on air, like if someone ran the wrong route, like he really gets on them. There's one specific receiver. I don't want to single him out, but Josh Gaddis has really been getting on him lately. The last few practices. So yeah, no, Josh Gaddis, he pays attention to detail a lot. The other guy is Coach Alex Mirabal. While he is intense, he is a great teacher. He really goes through things with his offensive linemen, and what I mean by that is if someone doesn't really understand things, he will run it through them again and again until they get it, and he'll take it step by step. One of the other things I was told, especially speaking with other coaches, because for practice number 6, media media wasn't allowed access. But I know many local coaches here in the area, in the South Florida area, that I spoke with, and essentially what I was told was that scrimmage over Saturday, it was the most intense practice they've seen at Miami. Uh, Basically dating back to when Butch Davis was at Miami.
Oh wow, that's amazing right there. So coaching clinic been going on. We seen a couple big time name coaches. One that's been roaming its head around. A lot of rumors behind it is Ed Orgeron. What can you tell us about that situation?
Yeah, so we were speaking about it today with some Miami staffers and some people inside of the practice facility today. Essentially, it would be Ed Orgeron's son is getting an internship job with Miami. There's no confirmation yet on Ed Orgeron joining Miami's staff. Funny thing I'll note, I was outside of the Schwartz Center getting interviews and whatnot and speaking with kids that came to visit that Saturday. And funny enough, Ed Orgeron and Rose Green. Junior Rose Green, if anyone's not familiar with him, he's the guy that teaches a lot of DBs down here in South Florida. He actually went to college at Auburn. Many people in the local coaching community are very familiar with him. So we were just chopping it up with him and whatnot. And Ed Orgeron came outside in front of the Schwartz Center before leaving, and he was talking with us for a bit. And Junior Rose Green actually asked Ed Orgeron, "How does it feel like having that logo back on your chest?" And just a funny little conversation. Ed said, "It feels like it never came off." And he mentioned jokingly while he was leaving that I'm looking for the next Cortez and Maryland. So, yeah, there's a lot of rumors about it. I heard something that by someone was told something that he may be at practice again Thursday because the clinic was already done on Saturday. He was still down here on Tuesday practice, and I heard something might be back on Thursday, but
Uh,
it
you're going, you're going, you're going in and out a little bit right now.
Oh, sorry about that. Hear me better now? Hello, hello.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We can hear you now.
Yeah, yeah, there. Okay. Um, it was going to any type of job at any
Well,
program, like
well,
leaving as an analyst,
yeah, we're
because
losing you again.
can you hear now?
Yeah.
Okay. Edo, if he was going to take any type of job at any program around the country, like as an analyst, being as he wouldn't leave that money on the table that's coming to him from LSU from his prior contract.
Okay. So his son's coming on as an intern now. I think his name is Cody, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Yes, yes.
so the positional groups right now, they're battling it out in spring practice. I want to kind of go down each positional group across the board, and you tell me who's performing, who's the top performing, and if you could, at this moment, I know it's not final, but at this moment, could you put them in like 1 through 3 order? So we'll start with the quarterback position.
Okay,
Miami
so at
Flow.
quarterback, and Dyke. Wait, can you hear me? T2Y?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So at quarterback, it's been TBD as the guy. I understand had something over
Uh,
he
we,
did go over that has
yeah, we're starting to lose you again.
that has, can you now?
It's still choppy.
Can you now?
It's still choppy. I see Miami Flow in the chat. Miami Flow, what's going on with you, boss? Nick, what's going on with you? How you doing? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Yeah. Give Gio a sec.
Okay, T2Y, can you hear me better now?
Oh, perfect, perfect. Okay, so back
Okay.
to the quarterback
Um,
position.
it, Yes, yes. In regards to quarterbacks, TBD is I know some fans put the notion out there before spring saying, "Oh, maybe Jake could take TBD." That hasn't been the case from what I've seen and from what I'm told by coaches in practice number 6. The had a big scrimmage that day. TBD's been far and away the number one guy. Jake has his moments. There's times where he holds onto the ball for too long, doesn't get out quick enough, takes some sacks. But,
Hold on.
it's understandable because,
Yeah, you're
TV.
you're still you're still going in and out. Are you around any Wi-Fi by any chance?
Right now, no, I'm driving back to my house from campus right now.
Okay. Everybody in the chat. So basically, when the sound goes in and out, he's driving home. He's trying to provide us this information. So please forgive the audio. Um, okay, yeah. So back to the quarterbacks because we didn't really get to hear anything you
Yeah,
were saying. It was going in and out.
yeah. So with TBD, basically he's been that guy, the number one guy throughout practice so far. Um, he's really become more of a vocal leader from what I've seen. And in regards to Jake, I know some fans had thought before even spring, thinking that Jake, oh, he could possibly overtake TBD. That hasn't been the case. Jake has been good. Don't get me wrong, but he still has up and down moments. And it's just to be understood that it's understandable that TBD is ahead of Jake, considering TBD has a whole year in college ahead of Jake as well. So Jake has had his moments. There is times where he gets a little frantic in the pocket, and Tyler is a little more under control in those type of situations. Then the other guy, obviously being Jakari Brown, Jakari, he's gotten a lot of work in skeleton, like basically 7-on-7. Not too much work in 11-on-11 right now, but he's getting the most reps as the third team quarterback.
Okay. So what's the Matoka? What's the deal with him?
Yeah, so I've heard some chatter in the background that Rhett Lashley actually has some interest in possibly bringing him over to SMU. Uh, Matoka's been at practice, but he hasn't really received much reps.
Okay, so it's a possibility that he might be able to transfer to SMU, um,
Yes,
reunite with Reed Lashley.
yes,
I think that probably would be a good move for him because this quarterback room is stacked. But yeah, let's move on from quarterbacks. Let's talk about the running backs. Who's performing? You know, and you could put them in 1, 2, 3 order. Like I said, these aren't final. Practices just start. We just want to get an idea of where guys are.
yeah. So with running back situation right now, it's been because Don and Rooster are out right now for spring ball. They will be back for fall ball. They're finally out of the red non-contact jerseys, but they're still limited. Likely won't be, taking full contact in practice this spring. But the other guys competing right now are actually Thad Franklin and Henry Parrish. Henry Parrish, he's a little more slender. He's not necessarily that big type of back. He's had some good moments in camp. One of the main things I've noticed with him is actually that he has a strength over other wide receivers. I mean, excuse me, other running backs on the team. Would be his ability in pass protection. That's something that he really excels in, and catching the ball out of the backfield. Now with Thad Franklin, in my opinion, from seeing the practices and what I was told about practice 6 when media wasn't allowed, uh, essentially from everything I've watched and what I was told coming out of that scrimmage, Thad Franklin has been the most consistent runner on the team. He does need to get better in pass protection, but He's been the most consistent out of the running back group, and then really running more of a distant third right now is Cody Brown. He did have a long touchdown in practice six over last Saturday, but that was against the second team towards the end of practice.
All right. So, receivers, who you think is performing well? Because we've been kind of hearing some dropsies going on. So, who's
Yes. So at receiver, the first few days of practice, there, like between the first three practices, there was a little bit of up and downs with drops from multiple receivers, not specifically just one guy. It was basically the whole unit as a whole. Um, in regards to that, though, that slowed down much more by that Friday before they went on break. Uh, there's still some here and there, but it's not nearly at the volume it was at during the first two practices. Now, in regards to performers, it's kind of hard to say. Well, I could say a top three. Essentially, it's really been Jacoby George. Jacoby George at the scrimmage on Saturday, I was told he had somewhere around between 7 to 8 catches over 150 yards in that scrimmage alone. He was involved heavily in the offense, taking end arounds, reverses. He was involved in the screen game. I was told he had a beautiful post in great coverage over to Corey Couch over the middle, deep ball from TVD. And apparently, to Corey, he made a break on the ball, but Jacoby focused in and came down with the ball on that. Now, with Jacoby George, though, he's had a lot of moments where he's flashed. There is moments every now and then where he'll have a drop every now and then, but he seems to be that becoming that guy to be the number one guy in the room. Basically, that big play threat. Now, the most consistent has really been Xavier Restrepo, and behind him has also been Dazzlin Worsham. When I mean by consistency, Restrepo's made a lot of plays during practice. He actually had a great practice seven, and the other receiver would be Keyshawn Smith. Uh, there was one specific day actually he had two deep ball touchdowns. One of them being brought back because he was tripped up by Corey Couch on a go route, but it would have been a touchdown actually. And he's been very good in contested catches, especially on comeback routes and curls in practice as well. If Frank Ladson's been very up and down. He's had much stronger performances as of recently, but he's not running with the first team. He gets sparingly some snaps here and there with the first team. And Brashard Smith, he's really an enigma. With Brashard Smith, he has a lot of wow moments and then a lot of down moments too. So it's more so about consistency with him.
and let's go back to Worsham because he's not a name that we've been hearing, a lot. But it seems like this spring he's been, bringing his name up, bringing his morale up. What's going on with him?
Yeah. So with Daz Worsham, the rundown on that is when he was coming out of high school, and this was a reason why Alabama had let him go out of their class. One of the reasons was due to the fact that he had a double hip surgery in high school. So when he was coming into Miami, he was very thin. He needed to bring his weight up and he needed to get in the weight room. And I was told by a good source that Rob Likens, the prior wide receiver coach, he had Dazzlin Worsham on essentially a 2 year plan. Rob Likens is not here anymore. Dazzlin Worsham has already gone through 2 years in the program, and he's starting to contribute now. He's been very consistent. He's even had some burn with the first team here and there, but very consistent, solid hands, good route runner. Would not say he's the most explosive in the wide receiver room, but he's Mr. Consistent.
Oh, okay, and I see someone in the comment sections asking about Romello Brinson.
Yeah, so Romello Brinson, he's actually out for the spring. He will be back for fall practice.
Okay, so there you go, Shane. Okay, let's switch to the offensive line. You know, one of the biggest issues we've had over the years. Um, who's standing out? And you could go down. You could go down the line, whichever side you want to start from.
Yeah, so at left tackle, Zion Nelson, he's been very consistent, very solid in practice. I have before I even get into other guys, I have noticed the run blocking has been better compared to last season. I'm sure Canes fans would love to hear that. Obviously, there's still work for them to do, but it has been better so far. At left guard, it's been Usman Traore. Right now, Jalen Rivers and John Campbell, they're both limited for the spring. They recently came off the red non-contact jerseys, but they have not been a full go yet for full contact. They've just done mainly walkthroughs and drills and whatnot so far. Um, I've heard that potentially they could be getting in the mix towards closer to the last few practices before the spring game. They could be getting involved again. So Usman Traore has been there at left guard. At center, it's been Ja'Kai Clark. The first week of practice, though, they kind of had like a three-man competition between Ja'Kai Clark, Logan Sagapolu, the transfer out of Oregon, and DJ Skife, between the center and right guard positions. But right now, what has mainly been consistent has been Ja'Kai Clark at center. At right guard, it's been Justice Oloishan, the UNLV transfer that came into Miami last season. And at right tackle, it's been DJ Skife.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
and a guy who's actually emerging, even though he's on second team, but I've been very impressed with his play. Has actually been Michael McLaughlin. He looks like he could potentially be Miami's next left tackle post Zion Nelson.
Okay. Also, they want to know about the tight ends position.
Oh yes. I will say this because I've been to practices before in the past over the years, and one thing I noticed right away, I even said this in some other podcasts and in Twitter spaces and whatnot. Uh, Will Mallory, I feel he was having his best spring since he arrived to Miami. He was very consistent. I could not even recall a drop. Constantly making plays in 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 portions of practice. Behind him, Elijah Arroyo, he's had a few days in practice where he's really showed out, especially after Mallory went down with his shoulder injury. Mario Cristobal did tell us that Mallory will be back for fall practice, full go. But Elijah Arroyo, he's really showed out. And Jaleel Skinner, uh, he looks the part. Uh, he will play this year. Now, how much, I really can't quantify that right now, but he's been very involved on the second team offense, along with Khalil Brantley and Dominique Mammarelli. Uh, Mammarelli seems to be the best blocking tight end in that room from what I've seen so far. He could really pull. They've even put him as an H back as well as Khalil Brantley. And I was told during practice 6, where they had the scrimmage during the coaching clinic, Khalil Brantley had the best day of all the tight ends, even getting a lot of burn with the first team too.
Okay. So far on the offense, it seems like a lot of guys are trying to make a stamp, make their name, and a lot of guys are basically trying to get into the rotation. Let's switch over to the defensive side, and we'll start with the D line. You could go from left to right, whichever you feel. Who the guys that
Yes.
now?
So when practice opened up, the starting guys at defensive end, both spots, it was Elijah Roberts and Jafari Harvey. Elijah Roberts went down with an injury in the first practice. He's actually still been in a sling. I just saw him today while at pro day. He's still in an arm sling right now, um, awaiting the prognosis of how long he will be out. So after Elijah Roberts went out, it was Chance Williams in. Chance Williams, actually, I was told from a coach that going into that scrimmage last Saturday, He's actually out now too for non-contact. He had a red jersey on. And so Cyrus Moss, even before Chance Williams went down, was starting to get quite some first team reps. Cyrus Moss, he he's very tall, he's very long. He works well with his hands. He has great feet, but he still has to get up size wise in the weight room. He's still very thin right now, but he's flashed a bit, but it's still too early to say how much he will really play because there's a lot of defensive ends out in that room right now. They Jabari Ishmael is out for spring. Um, who else was it? Jabari Ishmael was out. Elijah Roberts is out right now. There's also Chance Williams, and there's a fourth defensive end that I'm skipping my mind. Nigel Lee Kelly is also out for spring as well. So there's four guys out in that room right now. So it's kind of hard to really articulate or even kind of predict where that position will really end up. I do know from speaking with people that Miami right now, they are in the works between looking at three different defensive ends in the transfer portal. One of them, I am allowed to release that name. That is DJ Coleman out of Jacksonville State. I was told about this last week on Wednesday that Miami has interest in him, possibly bringing him in. And there's two others, one being in the portal, the other not officially in the portal just yet, but gauging interest. So that defensive end spot, it's a little tricky right now. And I was told Thomas Davis actually had the best scrimmage on Saturday out of all the defensive ends. Been told he has a great motor. I've seen him at practice. He wasn't getting too much burn early on, but now with injuries, he's gotten his opportunity and he's really shown out.
Okay. What about Davis? I didn't. I don't think I heard you mention Davis. How's he doing?
Yeah, that's who I just mentioned right now, Thomas Davis.
Oh, oh man, my bad.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
What about the defensive tackles?
So at defensive tackle, when practice opened up, it was Leonard Taylor and Jared Harrison Hunt as starting D tackles, with Jacob Lickenstein and Jordan Miller getting some reps also there with the ones. Uh, Jared Harrison Hunt is down right now with an injury. I was told that Jordan Miller got a lot of snaps with the first team during the scrimmage. I was told nothing really too noteworthy from him. Leonard Taylor did have two tackles in the backfield during that scrimmage, but the surprise guy in that room that's really been starting to make a lot of plays has actually been Alan Hay. I've seen it at practice, and even during the scrimmage, he had another sack as well. So the other guy that's out in that position group right now is actually Antonio Moultrie. They plan to be playing him inside a lot. He may kick outside at times as an edge in certain sets in front against specific teams, but he's out for the spring right now. So it's really been Leonard Taylor, from what I've seen, has not really come off at all off the first team, and Jared Harrison Hunt and Jacob Lickenstein getting a lot of first team reps next to him, and Jordan Miller sprinkled in here and there.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the cornerbacks.
So at cornerback, Tyreek Stevenson, he's out for the spring right now. He will be back for fall ball. So the starters have really been, it's been the mix between DJ Ivy, Al Blades, and Corey Couch. Reason why I say a mix, Al Blades has been playing a lot at the star position along with Gilbert Frierson. They've been kind of rotating those two guys back and forth. Al Blades has really come along strong in spring practice, and I was told he had an exceptionally good scrimmage over that Saturday scrimmage during the coaching clinic. To Corey Couch, he's been very solid. Um, I know some fans were saying, "Oh, because they some fans have seen pictures, that the team puts out and whatnot, Canes football, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram, and how Jacoby George came down with a ball the other week as well in a different practice. Uh, from what I've seen, Corey Couch has been really solid. Uh, Probably Miami's best man corner right now in man coverage. And DJ Ivy's really been up and down. I was told he didn't have a really good scrimmage in practice six, which was Saturday for the coaching clinic. So that's the whole first team unit right now. Uh, of something to note though, of the second team corners, the one who seems to really be stepping up right now is Isaiah Dunson. He's been making a lot of plays in practice. Was told he had a great scrimmage as well. So it's basically in that second group. It's really been Isaiah Dunson, Marcus Clark, and Malik Curtis working in there, and then Al Blades and Gilbert Frierson. They swap back and forth between first and second team snaps because they're just sharing time there together at star. So the other thing to note is Malik Curtis, that Friday practice, which was the third practice before they went on spring break, he was actually getting a lot of burn with the ones that day. I've been told by some staffers actually at Miami that they believe he has the best footwork of all the corners on the team. It's just he's a bit raw right now, and they have to get him up to speed because he didn't play much corner coming out of high school.
Okay. All right. Let's shift to safeties. We'll save linebackers for last. So safety wise, who's performing?
Oh, Avante Williams. James Williams has been performing really well too, but Avante Williams has been all over the field, very active. I was told he had an incredible scrimmage on Saturday, and he's had a pick before in practice. He almost had a pick in the scrimmage, and he almost had another one the other week too. He's very active all over the field. I've even seen to the point they even sometimes bring him down at the star position every now and then. And for anyone not familiar with the star position, essentially what Coach Steele labels it as is that strong side linebacker slash type of nickel safety. So it really fits the mold for guys like Al Blades. And, I've mentioned this before in other places that Al Blades coming out of high school, his ceiling was actually higher as a safety than it was as a corner. And it's really nice to see him in a spot like that, kind of like a nickel safety, and he's really excelling there. But moving back to Avante Williams, though, he's he's probably been the best player on defense throughout spring so far. Very consistent too. It's not just up and downs or just flashes. He's just very consistent through all the practices, and just him and James seem to be much more comfortable now. James has had two interceptions in camp so far as well. Uh, the guy that not many people know about is Brian Balaam. Actually, Brian Balaam, he's been performing well in practice, and I was told he did really well in that scrimmage on Saturday. Like probably the best of anyone on the second team defense that was playing that day between him and Thomas Davis. It's a little bit of a tricky situation for him. He'll most likely play quite a bit this year, but he's a little behind the eight ball because he got injured last year before fall camp ended. I was told by some sources that they believe that he was probably Miami's best safety last year during fall practice, but he got injured, whatnot, didn't play last season. And we all know what happened, James, Avante, and Cameron Kinchins. Now, with Cameron Kinchins, he is actually out for the spring right now. And the other notable piece there is Jalen Harrell. Jalen Harrell actually just moved back to safety during this spring. Uh, haven't seen anything too noteworthy from him. He is injured now. They have a walk on safety playing next to Brian Balaam in second team work right now. So that's where it's at right now with the safeties.
Speaking of walk on, before we go into linebackers, they had a walk on came on a little bit late last year by the name of Miles Moo Young. How's he doing?
Yes, he's been playing with the corners. He hasn't really got any reps with the first or second team, but he's been working drills with Coach Adai and Coach Steele and Coach DVD.
Okay. So is he showing any growth or some possibilities of actually getting some play time?
To be honest with you, from what I've seen, no, he hasn't really had any snaps with the first or second team at all.
Okay, so it's a work in progress for him. All right, so the
Yes.
linebackers, how they're fending out there.
So with the linebackers, I do know this. They are actively recruiting in the portal. They want to bring more in. They're not exactly comfortable with the position. There is some linebackers out for spring right now. Tyler Johnson, Jaquan Johnson's younger brother, is out right now. Chase Smith, he is out. He's someone who could be factoring in for a starting position this season. And then the other being Sam Brooks Jr. I have been told by some sources that Sam Brooks Jr.'s injury may be more serious than they had initially thought. So that's something to keep an eye on. The first team linebackers has mainly been Keontre Smith and Wayne Minsteed Jr. They've both done well. I would say out of the two, Keontre Smith has made the most plays, and I was told he was very good against the run actually during the scrimmage. Steed has been solid and consistent, but Miami is still looking around in the portal at that position right now. There is two names that are in discussion right now. One of them being out in the open, Josh White from LSU,
Yeah, we
and
saw the report.
yes, that name's out in the open, and there's one I cannot disclose right now. Don't want to put the kid on the spot, but he does play in the same conference as Miami, and there is some potential interest if he does come into the portal. But with the second team group, though, it's mainly been um, Corey Flagg, Avery Huff, Tariq Austin Cave, and Wesley Basainth all rotating in with that second team group. Wesley Basainth has really been coming along in the last three practices. From my opinion, from practice 5 that I last saw, and then 7, and with practice 6, from the coaches I've spoken with, Wesley Basainth has been getting the most second team reps of any linebackers on the team. And he had probably the play of the day in the scrimmage on Saturday. He actually shot right through his gap on a double end around to Brashard Smith for about a 10-yard loss. And yeah, I was told that was the best play of any linebacker during that scrimmage. And the coaches are starting to take notice of it.
Okay, all right. So third and long or whatever, fourth and long. The other team kicks the ball. Who do we expect to be returning that punt?
So here's the thing. In regards to special teams, especially at practice, the kickers and punters, they are working inside of the indoor practice facility. There's nothing really too big yet going on with that on the outside fields, because that's where mainly where the team has been practicing all throughout practice so far. It's all basically been outside. Um, I was told by a few coaches that were at the scrimmage that they started doing some kick return drills, and some names taking some returns back was actually George,
Hold
Xavier
on, you
Restrepo,
going?
Corey Couch. Those are the names.
Hold on. You got to repeat that
Can
because
you hear
you
me
went
now?
in and out. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did we leave off?
You was about to start naming the guys that could possibly take it back, and then I think
Okay.
you said Richard, and then you went all out.
Yes. So Brashard Smith, Malik Curtis, Jacoby George, Keyshawn Smith, Xavier Restrepo, Corey Couch. Those are some of the names that I was told, and what I could remember off the top of my head, what I was told. And yeah, so with that drill, I was told there was no kicker involved with that. They would essentially just be starting out of the back of the end zone, and they would send about two or three guys downfield as kickoff return coverage, as drills they were running.
Okay. So I mean, for from your personal standpoint, who would you put back there?
From my personal standpoint, I think the guy with the best build for kick returns would likely be Jalen Knighton, and right after him, um, you could make the case between Brashard Smith or Malik Curtis. On punts, I feel very comfortable with Miami keeping Jacoby George back there.
Okay. Um, I think that's pretty much it for all positional groups. All right, so recruiting wise, we're coming almost up on an hour, so I'm not going to keep you too much longer. But recruiting wise, we could run through a couple positions on offense and defense of basically the top guys that Miami's going after. So in the quarterback position, I've heard of a guy, not quite sure how to say his first name, but I think it's Rashada.
Yeah,
Some
Jaden Rashada.
okay.
He will actually be here at Miami tomorrow and Friday. Um, I actually have quite a few good close sources to that recruitment as well. I was told by some people down in the Gables that actually he is Miami's number one quarterback on their board right now. I did mention I just had a podcast drop today with the Orange Bowl Boys recruiting podcast. It was a whole rundown of every position, but I will mention in here too that he is the number one quarterback on the board for Miami. He will be visiting Thursday and Friday, and he will likely be back the following weekend for a 7-on-7 event and could be another possible visit again at Miami.
Okay. In this class, how many wide receivers do you think Miami's going to take?
The number I was told would be four for this class. Uh, I was told that they if max pushing it, they would go up to five if the situation was right. But that's very unlikely considering there's other spots to fill in the class, and they're really putting a premium in the trenches between O line and defensive line.
Okay, so out of the recruits that's in 2023, receiving wise, who will be like the main three guys that's on the board?
Jalen Brown, Hakeem Williams, Brandon Innes is on there, but I've mentioned quite a few times. Miami is really running a distant third right now. It is a USC and Ohio State battle, and Ohio State is really chipping away right now behind the scenes, from what I've been told by a source close to Innis's recruitment. And some other receivers involved there would be guys like Nathaniel Ray Joseph out of Miami Edison. Miami's still chipping away at him for a flip down the line. Um,
Yeah, isn't he committed to Clemson?
yes, that's a little bit of a tricky situation, and uh, with that, I know Dabo has a whole rule with any kids that are committed to Clemson that if you're committed, you can't take visits elsewhere.
Yeah,
Uh,
we've
was
seen in
was
the report that he's actually took back a offer from a kid that actually went on visits. I think that was reported like yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So you know, I don't want to put information out there and whatnot on Ray. I have some sources close to the recruitment. I like where Miami's at with him right now, and they're going to continue chipping away. Um, but yeah, those are the main names to know. Carnell Tate, I was told by a source, even though he put out that top group he had, that Miami's still somewhat in the mix. I would not expect him to be at Miami. I've been told Ohio State for him. Uh, he had interest in USC, but I've been told that he does not have a committable offer for USC right now. And I'm trying to think if there's any other names I'm missing out of. Oh, Andy Jean is all right. So with Andy Jean, what I was told is the communication between him and Josh Gaddis was not nearly the same as it was between him and Brian McClendon. He's a bit lower on Josh Gaddis's board. He is a potential take for Miami. They would take him right now, depending on who they would get in the class, but keep an eye on Georgia and Texas A&M in that recruitment with Andy Jean, and UF is starting to creep in there now as well.
And I think we got another guy that's already committed. I think it's Seymour.
Yes, with Lamar Seymour, I've mentioned on some podcasts before and some Twitter spaces as well that with Lamar Seymour, I came away surprised. And reason being is, Lamar Seymour, he had a lot of hype coming into high school, especially out of the eighth grade. He committed very early to Miami, had a very early offer. Younger brother of Lawrence Seymour, big baby at the University of Miami, the offensive lineman. So with Lamar, the reason why I say I came away surprised is how much he's developed within the past year. When he arrived at Miami Central, he was sitting behind some guys and kind of had to wait his turn. Last year, his junior year, he finally got his shot. He produced quite a bit last year, and he seemed to have taken it up another level this year. I saw him at the first big 7-on-7 event for this offseason at Battle Miami, and he was performing in just about every single game, even multiple touchdown games. And this is playing along with guys like Brandon Ennis and Hakeem Williams, Ray Joseph, and Santana Fleming, all on that team as receivers. Carnell Tate also on South Florida Express now. So Lamar's been having a really strong 7-on-7 season. I have been told by a source that Miami wouldn't necessarily per se just shove him out of the class right now. It's more so a situation where they're going to monitor how he does going into his senior season and making a decision from there.
Okay. The offensive line. Who are the main guys that they have on the board?
So there's Francis Mygoa. That's the offensive lineman out of IMG Academy. He visited for Elite Prospect Day. I've been told early on that USC would kind of be that favorite with Oregon also in the mix. Miami did make his top group. The others are Monroe Freeling, who was just on campus recently. TJ Shanahan, he was also on campus recently for spring practice. Also tomorrow, Madden Sanker, another out of state offensive lineman, will be visiting Miami as well. Aside from already Miami having Antonio Tripp committed, but those are some of the names I can think off the top of my head. I'm driving right now, so I can't pull up my list. I keep like a whole list of and notes with me, everything I've been told and what I hear and what I've been told from sources. But those are some of the main names I can think off the top of my head right now. And the other one being Peyton Kirkland out of Orlando, Dr. Phillips High School. With him, I've been told that will he'll be picking UF in July when he announces on the 23rd. So yeah, I know some people have thought before, oh, he might pick Miami. What I've been told is the pick will be the Gators for him.
Yeah, he's been showing a lot of Gator tweets lately too, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, between him and we'll get to the defensive line later, but Derek LeBlanc, both are projected for UF right now.
Yeah, hopefully they don't get Malik also. But
I don't think that's gonna happen.
all right, so let's go to the running back groups. Who's on the board?
So at the board at the top, it's essentially Cedric Baxter, Richard Young, and Mark Fletcher. So with Cedric Baxter, I'll give a little background here. I mentioned it on the podcast that dropped today too. But with Cedric Baxter, some background with him. He's actually originally from South Florida, from the Boynton Beach area. He also happened to play in the same little league as Mark Fletcher Jr. when they were younger. They're both very familiar with each other. They both know who each other are. Both of their families know each other. All that good stuff. With him, it's Alabama in the mix. UF is in the mix. Miami, Texas A&M, and there's some other programs that are also involved there, as along with USC. I've been told it's really Miami, Alabama, UF, and FSU really competing for his services right now.
Okay, all right. So let's switch to the tight ends.
So at tight end, it's they just had on campus today. I actually bumped into him while I was walking in for pro day. Jelani Thurman, he's a tight end out of the state of Georgia. actually a Georgia legacy, but something to note here. Georgia currently has two tight ends committed in their recruiting class right now, currently. And despite the fact that Thurman is a Georgia legacy, um, I would find it to be very hard pressed to find a college football program to take three tight ends in the same class. Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Uh,
hello? Hello?
yeah, can you hear me? Uh, Hold on, give it a second, guys. Get him back on. All right. While we wait to get him back on, make sure you guys hit that like button. Um, as you guys see at the top of the screen, also tasteoneboilpeanut.com. Use promo code T2Y and save $5 off your order. Um,
Okay, so I'm
can
back
you hear me
now.
now?
Sorry about that, it had dropped. Um,
Can you hear me?
where was I at? I was speaking about tight end. So with Jelani Thurman,
Oh,
that tight end out of Georgia, aside from the whole fact that Georgia has two tight ends committed right now, and he's a Georgia legacy, I would find it very hard pressed to find a college football program to take three tight ends in the same class. That's almost basically unheard of. So he just came down for his visit today, and he should be back tomorrow as well for Thursday's practice. He's also here with his teammate Terrence Love out of Georgia as well. He's a four-star safety as well.
okay. Um, okay, so we can switch over to the defensive side. Let's start with the defensive line, defensive end to be exact.
Yeah, so at defensive end, there's a lot of guys involved there. Just some names to toss out there. You know, Ruben Bain. There's some people that think that he's going to play inside. I don't believe so. I think he's more so of that new age defensive lineman that has versatility, that could play on the outside and on some third down packages, come play inside, basically in a NASCAR package, for better words, basically get to the QB. But Ruben Bain, Jaden Wayne. There's also Samuel Mpemba. Uh, there's a ton of guys involved there. There's Damon Wilson. They also just had Isaiah Nixon on campus as well, along with Samuel Mpemba over Saturday. So there's a lot of guys in the mix right now.
Okay. What about the defensive tackle?
At defensive tackle, um, it's a little bit of a strange situation. I know Miami likes Derek LeBlanc on the inside. And Miami seems to be going really national and up towards the northern part of Florida for defensive tackles right now. There's not really any that have emerged this year locally, but there's James Smith out of the Alabama area. He just recently came down to campus with his teammate Jaquavius Rasal, another four-star defensive end that Miami's after. So Miami's really looking more so out of state in northern Florida on the interior side of the defensive line this cycle.
Oh, okay. Linebackers. I know of Malik, but who's the other guys that's on the board?
Okay, so a quick note on Malik. I mentioned this on the podcast, and I'll say it here. With Malik, I was told early on when this cycle really started, as right when the 2022 class was ending, right before signing day, I was told that it was Georgia out front early on. Over the course of the past month to a month and a half, I've been told it's really down to Miami and Alabama, uh, with UF and Georgia basically running in that third pack right now for Malik Bryant. And then some of the other linebackers, there is Anthony Hill that's on the board. His father is actually originally a South Florida native from the Keys area. He will likely be visiting sometime close to the spring game. And if it's not the spring game, I have been told that it would likely happen over the summer. Miami did make his top six group of schools. Alabama's in there, Texas A&M. Uh, I can't remember all the names off the top of my head. I would have to look back at my notes, but I think that's the main contention for him. And some other linebackers, Raul Aguirre from Georgia. He's actually originally a South Florida native. And quick note, his father actually went to school with both Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal at Columbus. So there's a lot of familiarity there. I've been hearing a lot of pro Miami talk with him. He will be visiting again soon. And also, just a quick note on linebackers in this class. I've noticed one thing, and it seems to be the mold that they're really looking to add to that room. Is essentially, it seems to be guys that are around that 6'2", 6'3" range, have some size to them already and some range and speed. Just perfect example is Miami with the take of Bobby Washington Jr. He is a bit raw as a prospect. He needs to be a little more coached up. Last year was his first real year of playing linebacker, but there's a lot of things to like about Bobby Washington Jr. He's big, he's fast, and what I mean by fast, I have heard stories that he could keep up with his brother Robbie in a foot race, and Robbie is pretty fast. Robbie runs about a best of a 10.7 of the 100 meter. So um, Troy Bowles, Todd Bowles' son from Tampa Jesuit, he will be down here visiting tomorrow as well. Uh, he's a linebacker that's just getting in the mix now with Miami. Lewis Carter out of Tampa, four-star linebacker. He will be visiting Miami soon from when I last spoke with him. Miami's involved with a lot of linebackers. It does seem to be, though, that the communication between Miami and Javon Brown out of Deerfield Beach, it really hasn't been there. Uh, he has not visited yet, and there hasn't been much communication between him and Miami so far. So it seems to be that Miami's really looking for some size and speed in their linebacker room.
Okay. Um, let's go to the DBs, the safeties, and corners. Who are the main target? I think safety wise, I think it's safe to say Kamani is probably top of the list. But who are the guys behind Kamani?
Yeah, so I'll go safety first and then corner after. At safety, some guys in the mix are Elliot Washington out of Venice High School. He actually just recently committed to Alabama, but he will be on campus at Miami this week. He was also at Miami for Elite Prospect Day. Um, I know Miami really likes him. From what I've heard, he would most likely be the top guy at safety in the state for them. And I have been told that Miami has some interest in possibly playing him at the star position as well. The other guy being Damon Fagan, I've heard as of recently he is really leaning more so towards Ohio State, and I heard the the communication between him and Miami has not really been that consistent, and I have been told that Miami's not exactly as high on him as other people are. And some other names in the mix, Kenton Kirkland out of Jacksonville Reigns. He just recently visited. Um, and, just in regards to safety in general, it's not exactly the strongest year, especially down south for safeties in South Florida. Um, don't be surprised if Miami really tries to look out of state for safeties if they can't get a guy that they're really in love with from the state of Florida. And moving over to cornerback with Cormani McLean. Now, this is one thing that I want some Kane fans to learn that yes, there could be a lot of hype with a prospect early on, but once they start taking visits and whatnot, things change in a recruitment. So with Cormani McLean, I've been told by coaches that are very close with him, from sources in Lakeland, even to his own 7-on-7 team, that Alabama is clear and out front his favorite. They are the favorite to be the choice if signing day were today. I have been told it's kind of Miami and UF battling just back and forth between second and third for him, but Alabama's out in a clear lead right now.
Okay.
And
Somebody's in the chat is asking about a guy that we offered a running back. But then I think the last name is Lovey.
yes, Love. Miami had just offered him yesterday. He clocks in at a 10.7 in the 100 meter. I haven't had a chance yet to sit down and watch through his highlight film. Usually, what I like to do too is I get access to see more of full game film on certain prospects and whatnot. So I don't like to make a full final judgment on what my personal opinion is of a prospect without seeing everything about them, especially just trying to see them up close in person too as well. That that changes a lot of opinions as well. But Miami just recently offered him, and yeah, that's about it on Love.
Okay, so I think we've covered pretty much all the offense and
Yeah, the
defense.
only other one would be at kicker and punter, because Lou Headley will be running out of eligibility after this season. Miami just recently offered Tyler White out of South Lake, Texas, Carroll. With Tyler White, he's actually rated as the number one kicker and punter. He doubles as a kicker and punter in high school, also handles kickoffs. He is an All American, and Miami's going to be trying to go all in for him. They want a replacement for Headley when Headley leaves. And yeah, it's important. It's important to take care of special teams.
All right, so I think we pretty much covered everything. One more thing. From the practices so far, I see a lot of fans are still talking about the donut. Are they utilizing the donut differently than how you would see Manny Diaz crew does it?
Uh, I haven't really paid too much mind to that donut drill. But what I will say though, and I have been told this, and this happened in the scrimmage. There was a player moping after a series, and this was a linebacker. Um, and excuse my French. Essentially, Charlie Strong saying something along the lines of, why don't you effing listen to me? If you would just effing listen to me, you would actually make a play. So Charlie Strong, he. One thing I've noticed, these coaches, they're not here to babysit these kids. It's really being run more business like. I've had the notion told to me by recruits I've spoken with and local coaches and just sources in general that it's a lot more intense at practice. There's really no babysitting, and they're not afraid to hurt anyone's feelings, whether that is on the practice field or just trying to upgrade the roster. It's very businesslike down in the Gables.
All right, so without actually saying any names, transfer portal wise, I mean, who are the guys that you think possibly might not be on the team pretty soon?
Oh, that I don't really want to single out guys, but I mean, I kind of hinted about Peyton Matoka. Um, there
Okay,
will
you
be there
say
will there will likely be a running back leaving the room. There will likely be a wide receiver leaving that room. At tight end, I have not heard anything. There will be some transfer outs at offensive line, and at defensive line, I haven't heard anything. But that room is about to become very stacked. Mitchell Agood's coming in. Miami's still looking at other defensive ends, so there may be some guys that are not going to be happy with the amount of snaps that they get this year. So that is something to keep an eye on. I don't know anyone in particular just yet that I've been told. And at linebacker, there will likely be one transfer out after the end of spring, and at corner, there will likely be one as well, and one more in the safety room as well.
all right, guys. Well, there you have it, guys. We have Gio on here from the Orange Bowl Boys. Basically, make sure you guys go follow him on Twitter at Gio. Well, go ahead and give him all your
Yeah.
information.
So my actual Twitter is go305 underscore. If you're not familiar with me from before, I've been around Canes Twitter for a while. I've covered Canes recruiting, I cover the Canes football team, a lot of things just regarding the Canes. I used to be over at Canes Insight for some time. I'm now with the Orange Bulls for a little bit of time, quite some time now, actually. Um, we have what is rated the number one college football podcast on a lot of platforms. And aside from that, we also have the Orange Bowl Boys Recruiting Podcast. That is OBB Recruiting. You can find that on iTunes, Spotify, many different platforms. And yeah, again, my Twitter handle is Go305 underscore. You could shoot me a DM, ask me any question at any time. I'm always open and available. And the you could also follow us at Orange Bowl Boys, and there is also at OBB Recruiting. That is the Twitter page for the recruiting podcast. And also, just the last note, we have a website that's actually being done, that is being rolled out. That will be close to the spring game. There's a lot of content coming to that website, just between recruiting stuff that I've done, articles that are coming out on basketball, football, just about anything you could think of, X's and O's, recruiting, just everything you could think of with that's Canes related. It's going to be on there. It is a free site. There's also a subscription based for certain portions of the site that will be more so detailed info and whatnot in regards to recruiting or just other aspects of the University of Miami. And yeah, that's about it. And the Twitter account for that is at OBB Legend.
All right, there you have it, guys. For anybody that came in late, you guys could go rewatch. But get basically got a breakdown of the whole team so far, where we at in the off season. Anyways, guys, like, share, subscribe. I'm gonna wrap it up right there. Basically, got to go do my taxes, and I'm kind of late for my appointment right now. So, everybody, have a good day. Appreciate you, Gio, for coming on. Um,
Thank you,
would love to
TTY.
have you. Would love to have you on. Probably maybe right up before or after the spring game if you're available.
Yeah, most definitely. I'll most likely be available.
All right, so probably after the spring game because it's going to be a busy time during the spring game. So
Oh, most definitely.
so most likely after the spring game, I'll get in contact with you see if we could do like an updated show.
Thank you for your time.
All right, appreciate you, boss.
You
All
take
right,
care.
appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you for hitting the like button, and I'll see you guys another time. Go Canes.